And that, Tom, is how Justin Bieber was arrested for drunk drag racing in Florida.
That's funny, because just last week, police found drugs in Justin Bieber's house.
Yes, but in breaking news, Canadian history goes viral as a young girl finds the breathtaking history of métis in Canada. And now we go live to the show Dawn at Dawn.
We're rolling.
Oh! Hi, and welcome back to Dawn at Dawn. Today, we have a special guest coming all the way from St. Mary's School in Mississauga's class. Her name is Penny Greenwood. Penny, 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 come on in.
Thanks for having me, Dawn.
Anytime. So, you're here to tell us about the métis and the new discoveries in rich history within Canada.
Well, of course, they're not necessarily new, considering it is history.
That's true.
But I believe that not enough Canadian citizens know these events.
Well, we better inform them about it. So, why don't you start where it all began in the 1800s?
Well, I believe one event that really struck out for me was 1869 through 70. There was a Métis-led Red River Resistance, which had resulted in the Manitoba Act, which was passed by Canada's Parliament. And as a result of the act, Manitoba became a bilingual province, and it had given education rights to the Catholics and Protestants, and also had given land rights to Métis.
Oh, well, I'm very excited. What else do you have to say to us?
Well, in the words of the act, Métis had received more than 500,000 hectares of land in addition to the farms that they had already built along the Red River.
Wow.
But of course, after this event, it brings us to 1875 through 79. Canada's government had given scrip to Métis instead of...
Wait. If I may interrupt you there, what is a scrip?
Oh, a scrip is a document that Métis could exchange for land.
Oh.
And as I had said, the government had given scrip to Métis instead of land in Manitoba.
What happened after that?
Well, in some cases, it had given Métis a choice to take the scrip or become treaty Indians under a numbered treaty.
Really?
Yes, and because of how Canada's government had viewed the Métis, they were not allowed the same rights as Aboriginals.
Oh. So what was, if I may, the Métis' point of view?
The Métis had believed, as descendants of Aboriginals, that they should have the exact same rights. Which, of course, brings us to 1885. The Northwest Resistance had wanted to protect Métis' land rights in what is today Saskatchewan, as the railway and settlers had moved towards Western Canada.
Now, is this a true event?
Well, Canadians had, and of course always will have, different interpretations of this event in history, but to Métis as a way to assert their rights, like in the Red River Resistance. But for others, including Canada's government at the time, it was a way to overthrow Canada's authority. And then in 1896 through 1910, there was Métis settlers that had established farms au Saint Paul des Métis.
Now, is that the name today?
Well, it is near what is today St. Paul, Alberta. And the land was given to them through the Catholic Church.
Is this a permanent settlement?
Well, because it was only given to them through the church, when the settlements were closed, they had to leave as well.
Sucks.
Well, yeah, I
See,
guess.
Now, you've spoken a lot about how Métis never get their land. Have they ever received any?
Well, that brings us directly to 1938. L'Association des Métis de l'Alberta et des Territoires du Nord-Ouest lobbied Alberta's government to allow Métis land to live on. Alberta's government had passed the Métis Population Betterment Act in 1938, which had created 12 Métis settlements, which were temporary. This, of course, is the first time in Canada's history that a government inside Canada had given Métis land.
The first?
very first.
Wow.
Then in 1940 through 60, the Métis were provided land, but they did not control it at all. So 4 settlements were found unsuitable for farming, hunting, or fishing, and then they were closed. And the Métis had to leave, and the land was given back to the government of Alberta.
Interesting. Now, did the Métis ever fight for what they wanted?
Well, in 1982, the Métis had fought for the recognition of Métis rights in Canada's Constitution.
Now, did they receive what they wanted?
Well, the Constitution had decided that the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 35, would recognize Métis as Canadian Aboriginals with rights.
Wow, very good.
I think it's kind of a big step for them.
So, what had Alberta's government allow the Métis to do after that?
Well, Alberta's government had allowed Métis settlements as a permanent land base with the right to manage their own affairs. This legislation included Constitution of Alberta Amendment Act, Métis Settlement Accord Implementation Act, Métis Settlements Act, and Métis Settlements Land Protection Act.
That's a lot of acts.
Well, of course. In addition, an agreement with Alberta's government. Métis people are allowed to make profit from oil and gas resources found on the settlement lands. Which of course brings us to 2003. Yes, 3. The Supreme Court had decided that as inherited rights as Aboriginal persons, the Métis were allowed to hunt and fish under the Constitution.
Wow. Big step.
Definitely.
Now, had Métis support group ever had to come up with negotiations with the governments in Canada?
Well, that brings us directly to 2004. In 2 separate negotiations, the Métis Settlements General Council and Métis Nation of Alberta struck agreements with Alberta's government recognizing the Métis hunting and fishing rights.
Now, what happened with these agreements?
Well, with these agreements, Métis were finally allowed to hunt and fish for food without a license.
Without a license?
Yes.
Wow. Looks like they have a lot more rights than we do.
And this, of course, was short-lived, as the Alberta government in 2007 put in new rules into place that had restricted those rights, and while doing so, did not have the agreement from Métis organizations. Albertans, as anyone else, have different point of views and believe that Métis should have the exact same rights as them, thinking it's unfair. But Métis believe that it is in their inherited rights that they should be able to hunt on the land that they've grown up on with their ancestors.
Well, it is. See, now, I believe that 2006 is the last year that you have time for.
Yes. In 2006, in April, the Métis in Manitoba took to court the promise which was not delivered in the Manitoba Act, which was the promise to land to live on.
Good for them.
I believe so.
Now, do you know what happened after that?
I'm currently still doing research on that, actually.
Well, alright. Now that was Penny Greenwood with all the facts that she has to know about the Métis. Join us next week when we talk about immigration in Canada.